The One with the Proposal Part 2 is the 25th and final episode of the 6th season of Friends. This is directed by Kevin Bright, and as always there will be spoilers from now as I go through the episode and share some thoughts, and I'm going to try and get through this without crying anymore. It is such a beautiful episode, and it doesn't matter how many times I watch this, it completely breaks me every time, and rightly so, because it's beautiful. It is currently the 7th top rated Friends episode on IMDb. Honestly, I think it should be higher. Although there is one moment that I absolutely detest, absolutely hate it. It's powerful and effective, but I loathe it. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. I will very briefly talk about the story with Phoebe and Rachel, and then we'll get in, of course, with the main narrative. And Phoebe and Rachel are discussing how happy they'll be for Monica and Chandler when they finally get engaged. And they discuss having a backup. And we find out that Joey is Phoebe's backup. Joey is wearing his sailing outfit in this episode, which I absolutely love. And then Rachel goes to Ross to try and see if he wants to be her backup. And it turns out he's also Phoebe's backup. She has 2 backups, 3 apparently, because Chandler used to be one. And they go to Central Park and confront Phoebe. And Rachel's face, when Joey and Ross both said they wanted to change their backup to Rachel, because obviously Phoebe had deceived them, her face was brilliant. And they end up writing the names down on napkins, picking at random. Rachel gets Joey, Phoebe gets Ross. They agree to switch, which I thought was a good decision. It's a fun way to break up the main narrative and also to just make it a little bit funnier, because the main narrative, there are... Sorry, just randomly remembered something Chandler said. I'll talk about that in a moment. There are some funny moments in the main narrative, but it's mostly very heavy. And watching it, knowing what happens next, knowing how the episode finishes, it's still difficult. So I can't even imagine how painful this episode must have been to watch the first time. I don't remember the first time I saw it, but I imagine it would be a very difficult episode to watch. It's very unpredictable. It actually starts where we left off at the end of the previous episode. Richard tells Monica he still loves her. And we pick up in that exact scene, and Monica says, no, it's too late, I'm with Chandler, and Richard agrees to never bother her again if she can tell him Chandler is going to give her everything that Richard would. And this coincides with Chandler trying to say he hates the idea of marriage to throw her off the scent of the proposal. And they end up eating together, and Chandler starts to go off on a conversation about how pigs can have 100 sexual partners in a lifetime and how he doesn't believe in marriage. And he calls Monica a man trap, which I think was the pig sex discussion was taking it too far. Calling her a man trap, unacceptable. And I like the fact, well, I don't like the fact, but I think it was a good decision for this tactic to blow up in Chandler's face. Because as soon as he came up with the idea to tell Monica he was against marriage, he didn't want to move the relationship forward, I thought it was an absolutely despicable idea. And I like the fact that we're shown that it doesn't work. It's not a good idea. Don't do it. And Monica actually tells Joey, well, he says he's talking about Chandler and how Chandler's against marriage and basically confirming everything Chandler said. And then Monica says, well, somebody's willing to marry me. And he finds out about Richard. And Monica goes to see Richard. And I really, really like the fact that nothing happened. Monica didn't kiss Richard. There was one moment when she was hugging him when it seemed like she really might have kissed him in that moment. Maybe to see how she was feeling about him. But she didn't. And I really, really like that, because that wouldn't have looked good for Monica. Because even if she wanted to break it off with Chandler and marry Richard, she shouldn't cheat on Chandler while they're still in a relationship. So I love that they made that decision. She leaves, and then Chandler arrives, having found out about Richard. This is the bit that I laughed at before, where Chandler's saying things to Richard, and he happens to call him, he says, you big tree, which just little bits of humour like that help to lift it up a little bit. Because it is heavy. Monica and Chandler are about to break up and everything's going to fall apart. That's what it seems like is going to happen. And then Chandler mentions that he had a plan. He had a ring. Richard didn't have a ring, so 1 point to Chandler. And Richard finally says, "You go get her, Chandler." And I'm not saying that that erases the fact that he went and told Monica he loved her when she was in a committed relationship. I don't think that was the right thing to do still. But I like the fact that he was trying to resolve the situation as best as he could. And this is the bit I absolutely hate. I really hate it. Again, even knowing what comes next. I hate it. It makes me so emotional. Chandler rushes back to the apartment and Joey catches him in the hallway and he tells him Monica's gone. She took her bag and she left. He tried to tell her about the proposal. He tried to tell her about Chandler's plan, but it was too late. Monica's gone. She's left Chandler. And I absolutely hate it. And it only lasts a couple of seconds, but it just tears me up every time. And I don't agree with what Joey said because that is cruel. That is horrible. That is a nasty thing to do to Chandler. Obviously, Joey knows what's going to happen next, but I still think that it's unacceptable. It's powerful television, but in real life, that's horrible. And Chandler, I promised I wouldn't cry. Chandler goes into the apartment, the lights are off, and there are candles. So many candles everywhere. And Monica says, "You wanted it to be a surprise." And she tries to propose to him, but gets over emotional, so Chandler gets to propose. And I like that as well, because I feel like robbing Chandler of that chance to propose for the chance for him to make that commitment. I think I mentioned this a while ago. If not, I definitely thought it. I love the fact that Chandler is the one to propose to Monica, because there's definitely no indication that he was forced into marrying her or that he was doing it but not ready for the commitment. This was his decision. He decided it was time. And I love that. And I love the fact that, yes, Monica tried to propose, but it was ultimately Chandler who got to ask her for her hand in marriage. And it's incredible. And Phoebe, Joey and Rachel come in and Ross is not there, but as Rachel said, he's been married 3 times, so he knows what it's about. And they have a nice celebration, and it just ends with Chandler and Monica just hugging and slow dancing in the room, and it's beautifully lit, and just it's a perfect way to end the season. It's so beautiful, and just it gets me every time. I think probably even more so now that we've lost Matthew Perry, and it's an incredible bit of television. It's absolutely fantastic. Do I have any personal highlights? Well, yes, probably. Rachel's face when Joey and Ross decided they both wanted her as their backup, and Chandler I don't know why I find this so funny, but Chandler calling Richard a big tree. And I don't like it when Joey told Chandler Monica had gone and packed her bags and left, but I will admit it's a very powerful bit of television. And the proposal, it's just perfect. It's absolutely perfect. And it doesn't matter how many times I watch this. It doesn't matter that I know exactly what happens next or that I knew what was coming. It breaks me every single time. And for the right reasons. The one with the proposal part 2 is an absolutely exquisite episode. It toys with the emotions so much. And I absolutely love it.